that market.
What about? Were you into car racing at all beforehand? No, I didn't.
I was into cars. I was into cars, but I couldn't, you know, I wasn't, you know, I knew of Ferraris mostly from Miami Vice, you know. And I thought it was unattainable. It wasn't part of my upbringing. You know.
Right. Well, again, Michael Mann, right there.
Are you like a sports guy? You play a lot of sports, boxing, anything like that? Like,
I know. I like watching. I'm kind of stuck at time a little bit with the late '90s Michael Jordan. Right. So I'm just now only recently, because I'm trying to work less, have got back into going to basketball. Basketball is my sport.
Does that make you a Knicks fan or a Pacers fan?
I think it makes me a Nets fan because I'm in Brooklyn.
The Nets.
But so basketball is your thing, and but you're not like a watch football all day kind of guy or anything like that.
No. I wish I did. I mean, sometimes I watch football all day, but not really. No. I mean, I'll watch like Tyson highlights, but like Mike Tyson highlights, but I won't keep up to date with. I missed the Tyson Fury fights, and I'm not a full
Mike
man.
Tyson. Remember Mike Tyson was just like, it was just horrific watching what he would do to people, and I could not stop watching.
No.
We haven't had a boxer like that since him, have we? No.
No. I mean, what's his name? The guy, the English guy who's, wait, you just said him.
Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury, yeah.
He's
He's been fairly dominant, but not in that same way. His last fight, didn't he get knocked down twice, 2 or 3
Now
times?
it's all UFC, right?
Yeah.
It's all UFC. I can't, I'm sure we'll have some fan.
It's about 4:17 right now. Going into the office. New route starting today, Cincy Link. So just going in early for the first trip to see if anything goes wrong, anything I can fix hardware wise, or answer driver questions. First bus leaves the garage at about 4:50. So I'll be at the office about 4:30. Be there for questions. It'll be a long day.
Grow up, but I find UFC to be so dark. The energy is so dark for me. I don't know. There's something about it. It seems real.
Did I tell you, I used to watch it right before I go to bed. One time in the middle of the night in my dream, I thought I was in a fight, and I threw an elbow at Amanda, and I just missed her freaking nose. I just whacked the pillow that she was sleeping on because I was in a fight in my dream.
Because you're watching UFC.
Right before I went to bed. It was like the stupidest thing. I was like, I might as well have a big steak, too. I could end up killing somebody.
I don't know.
Anyway, sorry, we digress.
We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you in part by Helix. Hey guys, let me tell you about a game changer in the sleep department, Helix mattresses. Now, I've had my Helix mattress for almost 4 years, and it's been a total sleep revolution. Sleep is everything, right? It gives you energy, it gives you focus, it sets your mood for the day, and Helix has been a help for me this whole time. It's a dawn for a new day with my Dusk Lux. That was bad. I'm still waking up on my Helix mattress. Helix doesn't just offer one-size-fits-all. With 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Lux Collection and the Helix Elite, designed for big and tall sleepers, they've got something for everyone. Now, how do you find your perfect match? Easy. Take the Helix Sleep Quiz. In under 2 minutes, you'll know what mattress suits your body and sleep preferences. And guess what? It's shipped to your door, free of charge. I took the quiz and got matched with my dream mattress. Thank you so much, Helix. Helix is offering 25% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners through January 7th. Go to helixsleep.com/smartless and use code HelixPartner25. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. helixsleep.com/smartless, code HelixPartner25. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Hey there, Smartless listener. This message comes from our cool sponsor, Naples, Marco Island, and the Everglades, Florida's Paradise Coast. Imagine chilling on 30 miles of pristine Gulf shoreline. From the secluded Keewaydin Island to swanky beachfront resorts, they've got a spot for everyone. Adventure junkies, get ready for a wild ride through endless mangroves, estuaries, and shorelines. Boating, fishing, diving, and tons of golf, they got it all. Feeling fancy? Treat yourself to upscale boutiques, art galleries, and world-class spas in Naples. I mean, come on, what's more relaxing than lounging amid cypress trees to the soothing sounds of Gulf breezes? Foodies, this one's for you. Dive into a mix of flavors with fresh from the Gulf seafood and global grub at top-notch joints. The dining scene on Paradise Coast is a full-on feast for your senses. For the finest of everything Florida has to offer, only Paradise will do. Check out paradisecoast.com/smartless to start plotting your next adventure. One more time, that's paradisecoast.com/smartless. Happy travels.
And now, back to the show.
Adam, are you gonna? Is there any more talk about more Star Wars stuff? Like,
Oh my
Oh
God.
boy, look who's back.
Yeah, they're doing stuff. Yeah, but not with me. I'm not
So
doing it.
you're done because the character's done.
Yeah.
All right. And then, but wait, did you?
But would you? but if you did, what character do you think you might play?
But if they came to you tomorrow and if JJ was really nice about it,
No, I want to know. Like, can you just give me like one good story from filming it? Like something that was great or went wrong, or like something that was like surprising. Or you know what? I loved. This is what I loved. When it was at the end of Force Awakens, and you're doing the final like battle with Rey.
it's like he's stuck in an elevator at Comic-Con. You're fucking nightmare.
I just want to say I'm never gonna run into the guy ever again. So I hope I do. But when you're wounded, when she got you, and you're walking around in a circle, and you start banging the side of your hip like this, trying to get like the pain away or something, because you're bleeding. I think, whose idea was that? Such a cool, specific actor. I've never seen that. So cool.
Thanks. I will actually legitimately say that was mine. The idea that how it was pitched to me was, again, none of these were written, but at the very beginning was that his journey was supposed to be the opposite of Vader's, in that he starts almost the most, as opposed to someone who's the most dark from the beginning, and then by the end of the series becomes the most vulnerable, that he starts the most vulnerable and becomes little by little more committed to the dark side. I feel like eventually they I think got rid of that idea, but in my mind as I was playing it, that's what I was working towards. So all of this stuff is anytime that even abstractly that by the end of the movie it starts anything that starts to come into his world that reminds him that he's vulnerable, he has to get rid of it, so I think just in an abstract way it was
okay. So then when you got wounded and you were bleeding, you're like, I gotta get rid of this.
like it wasn't very conscious. I wasn't consciously thinking of it. I think that's just like his pain.
So cool.
He's trying to snuff out anything. He's getting more and more. So by the time after he kills Han, hopefully that you see in his face that he shifts into he's made a choice that he's going to commit to the dark side.
How did you like the pace of that? It's all the effects and stunts and things like that. I would imagine because of their luxury of schedule too, that you didn't have to shoot a lot of pages every day. I just remember working with you that you like to keep a nice momentum going. You stay in it and you're ready. How were you able to throttle up and throttle back with the slow pace?
There's a massive adjustment. Even when this is where I leave you, I hadn't quite figured out where to be economical at all. So I did the breaks in between. I'd never figured out the language of a film set, so I was still figuring it out. So I was wasting just a lot of energy trying to keep something like a kind of an engine going. That was I made Star Wars was way more exhausting for me than I made it more exhausting than it should have been, because I hadn't quite figured out the momentum of a set that was that big before. All the things I worked on were really small and they moved pretty fast. And
so what did you learn? I love that idea. Yeah, I remember saying to somebody like coming off Arrested Development and then doing a couple movies, and I was like, fuck, making a movie is so boring. And because it was just takes so fucking long, and you have all this big time in between, and how do you stay, especially making a comedy, like it's so hard to make a good comedy movie because there's no momentum, and you need that to keep it up, right? Like, and so what did you do actively to kind of train yourself to perform in films that was different? Like, what did you have something like a technique that you?
Yeah, well, usually the director sets the pace of the set. I don't like to be the person that tries to control the pace or rhythm of the set. I kind of let the person that's they kind of, and so I have to adjust. Like Spike Lee and Soderbergh shoot really fast, and for me that's not comfortable. But it's their movie and their film, so I adjust to what it is that they're doing. So things like that, I won't go back to the trailer. I'll stay on set mostly, and then if I need to escape, a conversation, a side conversation, then I will, just to try to stay focused. If it,
like questions about Star Wars or something.
Yeah, right. Some fucking uber nerds. Yeah. You're trying to get into being Enzo Ferrari, and you've got one more thing. When they were on planet Voltan, was it true that the Corinthian sun burned their helmets off? Hey, man,
Sean, of all the characters in all the Star Wars universe, what character do you think you would have liked to have played the most?
Me?
Yeah.
C-3PO.
Luke Skywalker, of course.
Yeah.
Huh.
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, of course.
Well, with a lower octave, maybe.
What's that?
Hey, Pa!
Yeah. We want to go, something about the Tashi station. We wanted to go back to the Tashi station or something. Mark Hamill says it really whiny. It's such a funny line. Everybody makes fun of it now, but it was so great.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I wanted to go back into town to pick up some power converters at the Tashi station.
I remember that. That's the first one, right?
Yeah, that's the very first one. Adam, but last, we're done with the Star Wars. But are you so happy to not have to talk about it at length? I know we did a little bit here, but are you like, do you try to avoid, like, do you try to focus on moving forward?
No, I don't. Honestly, not a lot of people talk to me about it. When they do, they mostly ask me. Even what you're asking is different than what most people ask me. And the only thing about it is I would talk at length often about some movie that you're trying to support, and then you say one thing about Star Wars, and that becomes the thing there. I'm like, all right,
yeah,
what the fuck is the point of it?
Yeah.
Do you miss shooting a series in Brooklyn? Do you wish you could?
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you really?
I bet you'd love that.
Yeah, well, because I'd be close to home, and I didn't realize how luxurious that was.
Wait, you said this already. Where are you from originally?
Indiana. Where I was raised in Michigan.
Oh, look who just joined the podcast. He said it. We talked about it a few times.
He was in a blackout trying to form a Star Wars question.
Most people, when they talk in the conversation, they don't spend all their time thinking about what I'm going to say when other people are talking. They just listen. Wait how the conversation happens.
So what's your feeling about, I think it's fascinating when people...
Would you ever move to Indiana?
Yeah. You would never live in Los Angeles. It's just not your speed.
No.
Well, he did.
No, yeah, I get it. It's not my. I enjoy the Four Seasons. And
Yeah. I get it.
God, that's been coming up so much lately with us about LA and New York, right? JB, we were talking about it the other night, and I lived in New York for over 20 years, and when I left, when my older kids were little, I moved to LA, and I was like, I don't know if I ever want to move to New York. And now these days, more and more, I'm like,
I've been dying to live here since I was 16. I would love.
Why'd you say?
I would just love to because of the seasons, because of the there's so many different industries that are centered there. So the people you talk to have something to say about so many things you know nothing about.
It's not a company town like LA. LA is such a company town.
Right.
Yeah, no, it is more in that way. We always say that, like, if all your references are just about this.
Hey, what you working on?
Right, that's what I feel when I come here, but I didn't think, I was like, maybe I'm just, because every time I come it's for something that is, related to that, so I'm like, well, I've actually never spent time here, so I can't really say that, but it feels that way. It feels like, with New York, there's just so much other shit going on that has nothing to do with that.
It's stimulating,
Yeah.
It is. See, everybody's working, doing something that you don't know anything about. It's very interesting.
Which, if you can, it's also nice to get out of the city if you can, because you can just be sitting in your apartment and feel the energy of the place outside and feel like you need to be doing something, which is also fun. can be exhausting.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
I love New York. No, I think all those.
Yeah.
Sorry, put your glasses.
I have a question for all three of you. You all three have kids. When you take your kid to a school for the first time, it's got to be like, oh, deal with the.
Remarkable circumstances, like the man who went to jail for 17 years for accidentally shooting the person who tried to save his life, to a close friend of the infamous scam artist, Amanda Riley. These haunting accounts sound like Hollywood movies, but I assure you, this is actually happening. Follow This Is Actually Happening on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts, and you can listen to This Is Actually Happening ad-free on Wondery.
.com/switch. Hey there, it's the NPR Politics Podcast. I'm Ashley Lopez. I cover politics. And today we're bringing you some
Today was a success. CincyLink worked perfectly, all the equipment, all the technology on the bus, and it all worked out. Head signs, automatic passenger counters, cameras, announcements. Man. Oh, day. 4:30 to 4:30.
It's Today Explained. New year, new you, new me. Resolutions: become a gym rat, finally finish the power broker, get solar panels. That one should be easy, right? This is a whole thing.
There are these door-to-door salesmen that go around knocking on doors all over the country.
Fantastic, super easy, and no downside.
A lot of them overpromise what the panels are going to do, and the panels then underdeliver. They sign people up for these loans that are not really great deals or that people can't necessarily afford. And they say to people, oh, you're not going to have an energy bill, or the government's going to give you money to put solar on your roof. None of which are true. They didn't necessarily understand exactly what they were getting into.
We do want to understand what we're getting into. So coming up, a new homeowner, a scam, a grid under pressure, and a whole lot of renewable energy going to waste.
My name's Alana Samuels, and I'm a senior economics correspondent at Time. My husband and I bought a house in Beacon, New York, and moved in July. We were told that there was a leased solar system on the roof, which we were excited about, and we had called the company beforehand, and they told us, here's how you find out how much the panels were producing. We logged onto the site. It said they were producing a decent amount. And then we got a high energy bill, and it didn't seem quite right to me since we had solar panels on the roof. So I called the solar panel company, which did not respond. I called them again, and the person on the other line told me that they had actually been disconnected some time ago and were not even hooked up. So it was a solar lease, which is something that was really popular, in the last 10 years.
Over the past few years, the cost of solar panels have fallen by 60%. Solar installations have increased by 500%. Every 4 minutes, another American home or business goes solar.
It was basically the people had agreed to lease these solar panels for 20 years. And they had only done this like 8 years ago or so. So when they sold us the house, they said, hey, can you take over this lease? We looked at it and said, this doesn't look like the greatest deal. How about we split it? So we each paid about $6,000 to split the remaining cost of the lease. And the reason we did that is so that the company that owned the panels could keep maintaining them and make sure everything was fine. We just didn't really want to have to deal with that. The company that sold it to the previous homeowner went out of business, and this is pretty common that the company that sold the solar panels initially goes out of business.
A solar company has gone bankrupt, leaving some customers here in West Michigan with systems that don't work.
The solar panels are on the roof, but they aren't producing any energy at this home in Compton.
Thomas Yagi of Kailua said he noticed one of his panels was not working, but the company he used is no longer in business.
This system cost about $82,000, and right now it's not producing any usable energy.
Our lease had been taken over by this company called Spruce Power, and it's actually the largest privately held owner and operator of residential solar in America, basically buying up all these leases across the country and collecting money from people and supposedly maintaining the panels.
But yours were not maintained.
They were not maintained. It's still a little unclear what happened. They say that the previous owners had stopped paying the bills, and so they disconnected them. But they also sent a third-party repair technician to come, and he said he thought it was that squirrels had chewed on our wires. So something happened that made the panels not work anymore. I'm still a little unclear on what it was.
You write that one of the problems here was that the company that originally leased the panels to the other homeowner had gone out of business. How big of an issue is that?
A lot of installers have either gone out of business or just kind of dabbled in installing for a little bit and then decided to do something else.
I didn't know people would do you like this.
There was one study from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory that estimated that about 8,700 different companies installed at least one residential solar system between 2000 and 2016, and only about 2,900 were still active by 2016, and that number is probably even a little bit smaller now.
I don't expect it's fair for me to pay a company that didn't finish the job.
So you have thousands, literally thousands of companies that did this, maybe on one roof, maybe on 100 roofs, and then stopped doing it or went out of business.
There's the cost of the financial pieces of it, but then just the stress of all the rest of it too. It's been a lot.
Eventually, I would imagine Spruce Power fixed your solar panels. You had, in fact, paid for them, right? So you've given them the money. What are they giving you?
Right. We've given them the money for the next 12 years, supposedly. They basically ignored me at first until I said I was a reporter.
Ha! A nice trick.
Yeah, I wish everyone could use that trick.
After letting Spruce know he was talking with the IT, Phelps says a crew came out and fixed his blacked out panel.
Then they sent the repair company. The repair guy came, climbed up on the roof, said, I can't fix everything, I'm gonna have to come back. And then another repair guy came back at 6 in the morning and still couldn't fix it. So most of them are working now, and Spruce gave me some money back for the months that they didn't work. To my knowledge, they have not given any money back to the previous homeowner.
So what you and your husband experienced in Beacon was terrible. Let's pull back from the terrible to talk about how common this is in the United States broadly. How many people in the U.S. have these rooftop solar panels on their homes?
So around 4 million U.S. homes have rooftop solar. That's up from about 300,000 a decade ago. So I started looking up some of these solar companies, including Spruce, and was really surprised to find that a lot of them have Fs from the Better Business Bureau.
Harness Power has a slew of negative reviews on Yelp after customers claimed they were left with inoperable solar systems. This review says they took my down payment 7 days before they closed their doors.
And if you go online, you find these threads on Reddit and these groups on Facebook of people who are just really upset about their experience having solar panels installed on their roof.
In one common thread, the inability to get in touch with Spruce. The complaints say things like awful to work with, cannot get a live body on the phone, and since the Spruce company took over, it has been a nightmare.
Lots of different companies, lots of people from all over the country. And I was just really shocked at how many people were having this problem, and some of the stories were just even worse than mine. The FTC has this database where you can complain about what you think is fraud or, shady business. And there were more than 5,000 complaints containing the words solar panels submitted on reportfraud.ftc.gov in just the first 9 or so months of 2023. And that's up 31% from 2022 and 746% since 2018. And that's just people who complain to the government. There are people that maybe did not go through that step but are still having problems.
Why do so many people have solar panels, and why are so many people having problems with their solar panels?
So there's the appeal of going green, but I think more so there are some decent financial incentives to do this.
Can give tax credits to do it. That's what you can afford to do it.
The Inflation Reduction Act, for instance, extended a 30% tax credit, basically, so you could deduct 30% of the cost of the panels from your taxes.
It'll bring down the cost of installation by about $7,500. And when you get to keep savings money on your electric bills for the remainder of the year, it's about $300 a year on average.
And so that really cut down on the costs and made people think this is a good deal, at the same time that electricity and power prices were really soaring, but also just because the grid is old and utilities have to spend a lot of money upgrading it, and power just gets more expensive every year.
Are there cases, Alana, in which it is a good idea to put solar panels on your roof? I mean, everything you've told us makes it sound like it's simply a bad idea. You've got shady salespeople, you've got companies that go out of business, you've got other companies buying up the leases that don't actually want to do the work. What is the argument for doing this?
I don't want to sound like I'm anti-solar, because I think it's really important, and there are people who have solar on their roofs that are very happy with it. Go with a company that someone else that has gone with and been happy with. Don't buy anything from someone who knocks on your door, calls your phone randomly that you didn't know. But I had a neighbor actually in Beacon who got rooftop solar installed in his house, and he said they were going to pay themselves off in about 7 years, and from then on he was basically just going to get free electricity. And I think people are very happy with them if they kind of made this decision on their own, did a lot of research, and figured out whether this was a good deal for them or not. The people that kind of maybe decided at a whim or were told something that was not true are a little less happy.
Alana Samuels, she's the senior economics correspondent at Time magazine. Coming up with the caveat that Today Explained loves the renewable energy revolution. There's been an unexpected consequence: too much energy. You have to hear it to believe it, so stay tuned. Today Explained, we're back. I'm Noelle King. Andrew Mosman is an editor at Caltech. He recently wrote a piece for The Atlantic about the problem of renewable energy.
The problem that I became interested in is the idea that we're trying to do this big buildup of renewable energy, especially solar, to reduce the amount of fossil fuels that we're using. But a lot of what we're already making is going to waste. This is kind of happening at two different levels. There's sort of the big, power company utility level. Think about a big solar farm out in the desert, like we have here in California. At certain times of the day, we're already making so much solar energy that we can't even use it all. And so some of those solar panels are simply turned off. We can't get it to other places where it might be used. And it means the potential of a lot of the solar infrastructure we already have is simply going to waste. And then on the flip side, there's also the scale of an individual home with solar panels. What's happening is you're starting to see a pushback against some of the incentives, economic incentives, that allow people to do that in the first place. This generally happens through an effect that's called net metering. And what that means is, if you got a big setup of solar panels in your home, and it's sunny out, you're not using a ton of energy at your house, you might be able to make more solar energy than you're consuming. At which point, if you're connected to the grid, you can just sell that back to the grid. The way that that's typically worked is you make back the exact amount you would have paid per kilowatt hour for energy. Now that more and more people are getting solar on their rooftops in more and more states, you're starting to see governments and power companies push back against that, trying to reduce the amount of that money that people get paid for selling their own solar back to the grid.
Because there's too much. Is that right?
Well, that's part of it. It's a complicated issue. There's technical infrastructure issues, yes. When you can sort of have a grassroots distributed energy system of all of us making our own energy, it does get more and more complex to figure this all out.
And so until we overcome the problem of permitting reform, of building transmission lines, allowing new power plants of any kind to be built, we're not going to get to that promised land of having a clean energy superpower. We're going to be stuck really with the kind of assets we have now.
There's also a flip side, which is sort of a political argument. And what you'll normally hear in this case is basically an argument of fairness, which is if you